In this part of the applicable section about controlling and changing habits, we are going to look into some methods related to classical conditioning and behaviorism. And those methods are very interesting. You can take them and apply them into whatever habit you have, whether it's procrastination or fitness, whether it's a habit you're trying to eliminate or a habit you're trying to install. Whatever the case is, as soon as we get to each and every method, I'll make sure to give you some examples so you can see how you can fit it in your own habit tracker or your own habit schedule. So let's get to it. First off, I want to talk about classical conditioning. Now, your brain is highly flexible and plastic. This is a concept of neuroplasticity. Researchers found that your brain doesn't stop developing, that neural pathways and neural systems are consistently being formed and consistently being torn apart and destroyed. Your brain can adapt, it can adjust, and it can learn. So through the ability of your brain to adapt and adjust, through the plasticity of your brain, you can access the system of classical conditioning, where you will condition your psychology and physiology to react under certain conditions when exposed to a specific stimulus. Now, this system works only through wired repetition. You need to repeat and repeat and repeat in order for your brain to get conditioned. If you repeat the same conditioning over a period of time, not less than 21 days, you will develop the reactive conditioning you're trying to implement effectively. Now, I know some of you right now probably don't know what classical conditioning is, and I'll briefly talk about it. It was developed by a psychologist widely known as Pavlov, and he did an experiment where he got few dogs, and then he would ring a bell. As soon as he rings the bell, he would give them food. Now, after a while, he discovered that the dogs would salivate without even seeing the food. As soon as he rang the bell, they would start salivating, which was an incredible breakthrough in psychology, and this brought forward the concept of classical conditioning. And you can condition your brain in the exact same way. Here's how you can do it. The methods and systems can be used to condition almost any habit you can think of. And I'm going to talk about some examples. So first off, the bracelet technique. And all you need is an elastic bracelet around your wrist. Pretty simple, right? Now you can use this type of conditioning to eliminate a bad habit you're trying to stop. What you'll do is, you're going to have the bracelet on your wrist, an elastic bracelet, and when you feel the urges to do a certain habit that you're trying to eliminate, you feel the urges starting to develop, right? And we talked about this before, the urges that follow the trigger, this is the most important part. If you can control that, you can control the habit, you can control the reward, you can control the system. So what you need to do is, as soon as these urges, you consciously feel them, you will snap the bracelet on your wrist. You need to become very well aware of the urges, trying to trick you into falling back towards the habit. Then you will snap the bracelet and you'll feel a little sting, a little bit of pain that you will consciously associate with the habit. To be even more specific, you would want to associate this little discomfort, this little pain, this little snap you felt, you want to consciously associate it with the trigger or with the urges. The more specific you are, the better. And how does this method even work? Well, this is classical conditioning. We talked about this, that our brain, the human brain, tends to avoid pain and embrace pleasure. Nobody wants to consciously walk towards pain. No, we prefer pleasure over pain, joy over sadness, right? Now, what happens is, when the habit emerges, the urges specifically, and the trigger, and you snap the bracelet and you associate the pain that you felt and the discomfort that you felt with the habit, your brain will start conditioning. There will be this part of your brain that will be conditioned in a way where the pain and discomfort are linked to the urges or the habit, or both, right? And your brain obviously wants to avoid pain and embrace pleasure. So what happens is, as you repeat it, every single time the urges emerge, instead of them bringing you, just a dopamine rush and motivation, they bring you pain, and the pain is greater. It can be, the bracelet, and at the same time, you want to associate negativity with that to bring out those feelings of discomfort. and your brain will start conditioning itself to move away from the habit. The bracelet technique is a method that is widely used by my clients, and it's very effective. An example that I can give you is your diet. A lot of people who want to go on a strict diet, they use this method and it worked wonders. What they would do is every time they feel like they want to eat something with a lot of calories, something that shouldn't be part of their diet basically, they would snap the bracelet and they would connect those urges of eating something unhealthy with the discomfort and the pain they were feeling. And then they went and ate something healthier and they felt good. So now the urges associated with foods on the bad diet list are associated with discomfort and pain. And the healthy diet, the list of food on the healthy diet list, are now associated with a reward, which is the pleasure of feeling good, feeling happy, and feeling healthy. And it's so easy. It's such a simple technique that you can use and implement it the exact same way on any habit you have. So by now, you should have a pretty good understanding of how the bracelet technique actually works. Now let's move to the 1-2-3 method. This is probably one of my favorite methods because it's also based on classical conditioning. The 1-2-3 method is a simple yet highly effective system that you can use on any habit that you're trying to install. Whenever you want to do the new habit, start off by counting to 3 and then go do it. This is what's going to happen. You're trying to implement a new habit. Before you start the habit, count to 3 and then consciously get up and go do the habit. All right? So what's going to happen is whenever you want to do the new habit, you're going to start off by counting to 3 and then you go do it. In the future, when you have days where you don't feel like doing the habit, all it takes is for you to count to 3 and your brain will shift into the previous experiences where you counted to 3 and your brain will follow the pre-perceived installed systems, in that case, the habit that you're trying to install. So let's take procrastination, for example. You procrastinate on work or on homework a lot. Well, you don't always do it, right? You do it sometimes, and sometimes you do actually do what you need to do, whether it's work or schoolwork. Now, every time you want to do schoolwork or you want to work on a project or whatever it is, you count to 3. You count to 3 and then you go do it. And be conscious of what's happening. Be conscious of the association of counting to 3 with the habit you're doing. All right? And now, in the future, when you have a day where you're feeling a bit stressed and a bit annoyed and you don't really feel like doing anything, try it. Try counting to 3 and then you'll find yourself automatically switching the way you think into, oh, I should probably be doing something right now that I counted to 3. Now, there is something to keep in mind, however. You can't use the 1-2-3 method for 2 days and then expect it to change your life. No. Everything takes consistent repetition. If you do it for at least 21 days, then you'll have a system in place that works. And even if during these 21 days you procrastinated a few times, it's fine. As long as whenever you're not and whenever you're consciously moving yourself away from procrastination and going to do whatever you have to do, you count to 3 and you go do it for enough time for it to stick and be conditioned in your brain, then it will work automatically. And it will work, don't be fooled by the simplicity of this method. It's very simple, as I said, yet highly effective. So give it a shot. Give those 2 methods a shot. Try them out if you feel comfortable with them. If you feel like those are systems that you'd like to implement, try them. Give them a shot. Try them. See how they work. Don't get frustrated. It does take repetition for them to be installed and conditioned in your brain. But as soon as they can be revolutionary. It can be a weapon or a tool that you can use to take yourself from where you are to where you want to be. And I hope you guys enjoyed this lecture as much as I did. It's probably one of my favorites. And let's go to the next lecture, Applicable Section Part 4.